Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, so last week I put up a video of me and a couple friends climbing this tower down in Canyonlands, Utah, and it's really just kind of gotten me going again. And, some of you don't know a little bit about me. Years ago, before I was a father, and now doing marketing, I was a climbing bum, and I pretty much did rock climbing all day, every day. I worked in the kitchen at night, and beyond that, I pretty much climbed. It was my life. It was what I did. That movie was actually filmed when I was in the midst of a lot of that. But just putting it up has been really inspiring to me, and it's been making me. I've had all these stories kind of come back and just flood my memory of these great times that I've had and things that I've done on the rock and all over I in Europe and all over North America, and so it's kind of just made me want to sit down and tell a few of them because some of them are pretty cool, some of them are pretty funny, some are pretty scary, maybe risky. Kind of some funny stuff that's happened to me, and it's made me think a lot of how my number one goal, besides my family, obviously, but my number one goal for me is to with Empower Network and network marketing is to climb more. I had to cut back almost to the point of not doing it much at all because I was working two jobs. I have two kids, and that was what I did. And so my goal is for me with Empower Network and that is to be able to climb whenever and wherever I want. And just to be able to grab my gear and say, I'm out. Just like I did when I was, in my 20s and I didn't care. And I didn't care about money and I didn't care about anything else but the next climb. And so you're going to get a couple of these stories about me climbing because it's what I love and it's what I know and I love to do it. So so I was thinking about my friend Carl and I. He has been my climbing partner for 15 years. We've climbed all over together with each other and done a lot of crazy stuff. So a lot of my stories are going to be revolved around him as well, just because I've kind of done most of it with him. So if you hear the name Carl, then you'll know kind of a little bit of where he's coming from. My friend Carl and I, we got really into putting up our own climbs. Because I call it first ascents. I'll kind of go over a little bit of climbing with you, but some things I'm just not going to because it'll take too long. We got really into first ascents. So we would walk around the desert, miles and miles in the desert. I lived in a town called Moab. It's in the southeast corner of Utah, outside of Canyonlands National Park, Arches National Park, kind of in that southeast west desert out there. So we used to hike miles of walls to look for climbs, just something to put up. Now, a little bit about first ascents. If you see people climbing things like that, there's always got to be the first person that goes up, right? Someone's got to go up, climb up there, and you take a big old drill and you drill two big old holes in the wall and you put a couple lag bolts in there and you clip into them and you come back down. And so then the following person could just go up to the bolts and clip them and come back down. So, but we got really into doing first ascents. That was our passion. That was what we did. And we would get up every single day, 7 a.m., pack our gear, drive about half hour, 40 minutes out into the middle of the desert and walk walls. Every day, all day long. From about 8 in the morning till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we would drive all the way back, get cleaned up and go to work and work till about 1 o'clock in the morning and do it all over again the next day. And it was an obsession. It was a passion. We both loved to do it. And the thrill of finding that next climb was just tremendous. It was unlike anything I've ever ever done or experienced. And so we would walk and walk, you know, what would be around the next corner? What's around the next corner? What's around the next corner? And I think it would actually blow your mind to know and see how much we walked around, how many miles, how many stretches of walls that we walked to find what we called our perfect climb. And you know, we found everything in between. We found tons of climbs. We put up tons. We have all these kind of stories. We have entire walls that we found, and we did all of that. And there's one time in particular we had gone up to this area and found, we'd found a couple climbs. There were a couple other climbs already there, and we climbed them all. But we decided to walk down the wall, and we walked for, I don't know, half a mile or so, not finding anything, too much. It was getting close time for us to start heading back and get to our jobs, and we decided, we'll go one more corner. We just got to check out one more corner. We walked around to that corner, nothing. Just one more corner. Well, we walked around the corner, and there was 2 climbs that were amazing. In this corner, they were perfect, and we knew we'd found a couple gems. And we didn't have time. We dropped our packs. We actually left most of our gear up there. Booked it back down to the truck. Went to the job. Next morning, got up, ran back up there, and put them up as fast as we could, and found about 12 more. We ended up spending a little close to 2 weeks putting up this entire stretch of wall, and it was just one of those amazing feelings of just finding something so untouched and so unique for us to do. It was a great time. We had a lot of fun building the trail, doing all that kind of stuff. It's kind of funny, you do things in your past, and when you look back at them, you always think when you're doing them that this is going to be the thing I remember, and now since then I've had 2 kids. I don't work in a kitchen anymore. I work at a grocery store. I have a job that's a little bit more traditional, I guess is the word. I'm not really that into it. But now I've found network marketing and Empower Network. And now this is my new obsession. This is my new just around the corner. I can't wait to do my next video. I can't wait to learn my next thing on the 15K. It's fun to learn and understand something that I used to never do. This is all new to me, and it's so fun to learn these kind of things. And to have something in my life is like that is very important to me, because without it I feel like I'm drifting with nothing. And to find Empower Network is like finding that next climb, And I believe that the road through Empower Network will be very similar to what I look back on then, on the climbing. And my climbing career that isn't over yet, back then was, I used to, like I was saying before, I used to think that this is what I'll remember about that. Oh, I'm going to remember this climb, or I'm going to remember standing on this tower, or whatever. But the thing that I remember the most is sometimes the things that stick out to me the most are the moments I had hanging out with Carl maybe after the climbs, watching the sun hit the rocks, watching my dogs run around, spending that time with Carl, spending that time out in the middle of nowhere, enjoying life. And those are the things that come to me the most. Those are the things that I realized that I loved the most, was the freedom I had, the freedom of doing whatever I wanted, and the freedom of having so much. it filled me up just knowing that I was doing what I wanted. And I look back on that road of it all, and I had a blast. And I have so many stories, and you're going to hear a lot of them because they mean a lot to me. All of these stories mean a lot to me. But the road getting there, I realized, was just as fun and is just embedded in my brain as when I found those things. I remember walking those walls as much as finding those climbs. You know, walking through those cactus bushes and sliding down those rocks and doing all those kind of things that at the time were like the pain in the ass part. But I remember that, the road to it all, as much as I remember the climbs. And I think that's kind of how it goes. You know, when you're doing something that you love so much and that you want to do, you remember all of it. You remember the road. And that's what I'm going through right now, is the road to success. And all of those little successes along the way. I remember the big climbs, but I remember every one of those little tiny climbs that maybe I didn't think were that great, but now I remember how fun they were. All those little tiny successes, all those smaller goals that I found in between the big one. Those are the things that I also remember. It's that road to success. So, anyway, I'll leave you with a little bit of that, and you'll be hearing a little bit more of my crazy stories out in the desert, up in the mountains, doing some of that kind of stuff, because that's what I love, and this is just a new adventure to me, and that's kind of how I look at it, is this new adventure. So it's going to be fun. It's always an adventure. Life is an adventure. Thanks, guys.